Every year in the summer, the YoPro Council has done a YoPro DC fly-in where the council comes to DC and we go on the Hill and we show senators, congressmen, and women that young professionals in aviation care and are here to advocate for it. So we go on the Hill and we have set up meetings with them. We set up meetings and we talk about aviation. It was really big this past year because of FAA reauthorization. So we got about 30 of us out there going on the Hill and talking to regulators and legislators to tell them, hey, these are the issues that we care about and these are the things that need to change. And I think that's really inspiring to a lot of them because they're seeing young people passionate, caring about the industry that they're working in.
Yeah.
But what I'm excited for this year is we're opening that up to any YoPro, not just the YoPro Council. So in February, we're going to open up an application where young professionals can apply to come to this YoPro DC fly-in and talk with different congressmen and women along with NBAA and the YoPro Council. So I'm excited about that. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for those who don't know much about YoPro, who want to get involved, but also those who are passionate about a very specific thing in aviation that they want to, get their word out. So that'll be a really cool opportunity.
That's great. Yeah, no, please let us know when that's ready to go and we'll send it out to our people, anybody that we know as well, because that does sound like that's a wonderful initiative.
Yeah, I believe February 5th is when the application will open and it'll be open for about 2 weeks.
Hello and welcome to the Business Aviation Collective podcast, sponsored by LD Aviation. I'm your host, Lindsay. Today we get a chance to talk to Noah Yarborough. He is the Flight Operations Manager for the National Business Aviation Association, which we all know, NBAA. And while he does that, he is very heavily involved in the YoPro Council as well as the Domestic Operations Committee. And we're going to talk about both of those things later on in the podcast. But I also want to mention he was a Geospatial Technician, and I think that's so cool too. So we're going to talk about that. Welcome, Noah.
Thanks for having me, Lindsay. I'm excited to be here.
Great. Yeah. Thank you for your time. And you're young. As I can see him right now, I know that our audience can't see him so much, but he is very young and he has a very long list of accomplishments that he's done. And he and I have worked a little bit on the Domestic Operations Committee in previous years. So I'm really excited to talk to you about your history and kind of how you've all done that. But I want to start out with, how did you even get into aviation?
Yeah, that's a great question. My dad and my uncles were all naval aviators. So that's kind of how I got into it. My dad flew for the Coast Guard, so he went through naval aviation training. And then my two uncles flew for the Navy. One ended up going to be a UPS pilot and the other one retired from flying after the Navy. And then my dad is a helicopter pilot down in Louisiana. So I was kind of surrounded by it a little bit. I never actually thought about it as a career until I think high school, when I was like, what do I want to do? And I remember flying with my dad when I was younger. And I always thought that was really interesting and cool. So then I went from New Orleans originally and grew up in Lafayette, Louisiana. So ended up going to Louisiana Tech University in aviation. And that's kind of where my aviation journey started.
Right. Very cool. Oh, Louisiana. I love food from there. We don't get a lot of one.
Food.
Yeah.
This food.
I bet. Yeah. I don't think we have anything that could rival it here in Northern California. No good food like that up here. Anyway, okay, great. So you're going to school. And what was your major? What were you aiming to do? It was actually pilot?
So I started out in professional aviation, which was the pilot track Louisiana Tech has. I got my private pilot's license freshman year and then kind of decided I didn't want to fly full time. I wanted to see what other routes were out there. I really liked the business side of things because we were taking some business classes as well. So I switched my major over to aviation management. And I went ahead and finished that up at Louisiana Tech. And then while I was there, because I was a little bit ahead in classes, I was able to start on my master's. So I ended up graduating in aviation management and then also finishing up my master's in business administration.
Very cool. That's awesome. That's hard. A master's. I got 3/4 of the way through, and then you have to do a big project at the end, right?
Yeah, we do a big project at the end. I actually did mine, believe it or not, on Uber Elevate. So
no way.
Talk about the business model of Uber Elevate and how it's going to change the world. And now Uber Elevate doesn't exist, but Joby exists, Lilium exists, all these other major players in the world. really excited. eVTOL gets me really excited. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely challenging. I think whenever I was working on that, my plan was to just take the classes and learn a little bit. And when I finished my undergrad, just kind of be done with my master's. And when I graduated in May of 2020, there was no jobs really.
Yeah.
Off, people were downsizing, jobs weren't being posted. So it was really challenging. For that point, I was like, well, I might as well just continue on the track with my master's and kind of see where things go. So that's when I was able, since everything was online, I was able to move. So I moved out of Louisiana to Denver and actually fueled planes at DIA, Denver International Airport.
Cool.
Masters. It was an experience. It was a lot of work, but it was fun.
I bet that was an experience. And so climate also a little bit different from Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
How did that go?
So I started in, I believe, July of 2020, fueling plane. So it wasn't bad. But once, I think my first snow it snowed early that year, September, and it was cold, especially trying to fuel the planes, get the single point on there, and my hands were frozen. But learning experience. And now I love the cold. I love Denver. I love snowboarding. I love skiing.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome. Had you ever skied or snowboarded before?
I had not. When I moved out there, I was like, I'm just going to full send it into all of these different experiences that Denver offers. So I went out there, rented a board, and just tumbled down the hill a couple of times, but eventually picked it up. And now I love to do it.
That is so cool. I love skiing. I tried snowboarding, but I think I've learned to ski for so many years. Yeah, I just ended up on my butt the whole time. So I kind of gave up on that. But good for you to go after all that stuff and learn. Very cool. Okay, so you're fueling. You were working in Denver. Then what? Then where did you head to?
Yeah, so I saw an opportunity at Centennial Airport, APA. I know so many business aviation operators are familiar with that. I feel like every time I talk with someone, they're like, oh yeah, APA, I love that airport. One of the largest business aviation airports in the country. So I applied there, got a job as an airport management intern, and worked as an operations specialist for about a year, which is really cool. I loved working in airport ops. I loved being hands-on. I loved being out there. I loved reporting to incidents and accidents. There were some high-level incidents that I got to report to. There was a mid-air collision that happened while I was on shift that I reported to. Everyone was safe. It was very, very, I learned a lot from the experience, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Being in that high stress situation and being surrounded by so much heavy equipment. And it's a really great learning experience and really cool to be able to help bring that high level of a situation to a safe ending and being able to work with NTSB and getting the reports and the FAA, learning a lot there. But so I love that. The reason I kind of stopped doing airport ops is because it was really challenging to do night shift. Some people love night shifts, some people don't.
Yes.
11 p.m. to 7 a.m. on weekend was just really hard on me mentally for my mental health. And so that's kind of where I came to that point in my career where I was like, okay, I don't know if I can continue doing airport ops. It's not good for my mental health. I know it's a big topic in aviation safety.
Yeah, it is.
So I think that's a big thing that I took under consideration and kind of decided I was like, time to move on from airport ops and kind of find something that it's more stable, better for my mental health and for it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Many years ago, I worked late, probably not the 11 to 7, but I know we started at 2 a.m. sometimes. That's miserable. Well, I guess you put in your dues and now you've done that and now you can go on to better shifts.
Exactly.
Cool. I'm kind of curious, what other things did you do doing airport ops? I'm guessing you checked out the runway, make sure there was no fog there. Like, what other things does an airport manager do? They
do a lot of different things. So when it comes to Centennial in particular, they're not a Part 139 airport. So they're not certificated. So it's a little different when it comes to requirements. So like a 139 airport, don't know the exact reg, but you're required to do a certain amount of inspections. You're required to do a certain amount of drive-bys of different things on the airport. But what we did, depending on how long the shift was about 3 inspections. So you do the inspections of the ramp, you do the inspections of the area, looking for FOD, looking for the lights went out on the runway or things like that. Then the night shift would do 2 inspections of the runways. And that was always really cool, being able to drive up and down the runways and looking for different things on there. We also did snow removal. That was obviously a big thing in Denver. So we would act as snow boss in our ops, and we would coordinate between tower and the snow plows who were going up and down the runways to clear. So it was really, really fun actually being able to work that type of operation, talking to towers and airplanes coming in, clearing it and then allowing for the airplane to be cleared onto the runway. And then you watch as soon as that airplane lands, the airplane takes off and you're seeing the snow start to pile up again on the runway. Get your guys back out there to plow it again. So another thing we did a lot there.
Did you guys use like multiple plows? I mean, sometimes I see the bigger and they're just kind of staggered one after another to clear the entire runway all in one sweep.
Yep, that's exactly what we did. Staggered after one another, clear one half of it, and then come back down the other half.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Cool.
But it was really fun. And then generate NOTAMs as we did that as well. So if the lights out, if the ILS isn't working, lighting system isn't working, we use our Camelot runway condition assessment matrix to assess, is there water on the runway? Is there snow on the runway? Is there fog? Different things like that. So yeah, I think it's really cool because you get to be really hands-on, really involved in, you're right there as planes are landing and different things like that. So I enjoyed that a lot.
Okay, I have a side question on the NOTAMs. If you write the NOTAMs, is there a standard procedure like of how you're writing a NOTAM and what it's supposed to look like? Because I read them and sometimes I'm thinking, I'm not sure what they're trying to say there.
Yeah, a lot of it was almost like the NOTAMs were set up. So you'd go in and you kind of like pick a drop down and be like, I'm putting a NOTAM for water on the runway. And then you'd get, the condition of it, and then it would auto generate it. So it wasn't like I was actually typing the physical NOTAM, but
well, it might be better sometimes if you could just type out, hey, there's water on the middle part of the runway.
There are unique situations where you can go in and edit it to match your specific incident. If it's like a unique, like an accident or something, and you need to put something unique into a NOTAM, you can. That was a little more rare. Typically, it was really standardized, plugging and playing with different things in the system.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm curious about that because I think that there's a big push to try and get that NOTAM system to be changed, updated.
Yeah.
Made easier to read. So yeah, hope that goes through. Okay, cool. So you're working at that and then you decided to move on. And then where did you head to?
Yeah, so then I went over to Boeing, or Jeppesen. They're based in Inglewood. So I worked for Boeing Global Services as a geospatial technician. Really interesting. I think I was there for about 9 months before the NBAA opportunity came up. Learned a lot. It was very complicated stuff, but also very, very interesting stuff. Pretty much what I did there was take RNAV GPS and RNAV RMP approaches into different airports and code them into FMS systems. So I would create that based off of the 8260 form from the FAA, take that data, as long as data manipulation, taking that data and then entering it into the JAD, Jeppesen Aviation Database System. And then that would come out and create this beautiful looking instrument approach that would get put into the back end of the FMS systems.
Very cool. Oh, that's interesting. I think that's one example of those jobs that it's totally aviation related, but nobody knows, or at least I didn't know that it even existed. But you're right. Somebody's got to put that information in there.
It's super unique. And I think at the time, I still don't have my instrument rating. I didn't have my instrument rating then, but at the time just using my private knowledge was helpful. But at the time I started flying again and started working towards my instrument, and the knowledge I was using by understanding what different approaches were at Jeppesen was so applicable to my flight training and working on my instrument rating. So that was really, really helpful to me as well. And it is unique. There's not many people that know about it because there's so many different things. If you think about just the entire operation of an FMS system, there's so many different parts and so many different people touching it that you don't even know about. So that has really opened my eyes. Like, oh my God, if I'm doing this for an FMS system, imagine all the different opportunities that are in aviation. It's crazy.
It is. And I love that. I get to highlight a lot of that when I do my podcast. And I think there's the FAA lists 800 and some different jobs that are associated with aviation, which I think hopefully will help attract more of the young people, which we'll talk about that a little bit further down. But so maybe let's go into your NBAA in your current position and what you do there.
Yeah, so I'm the flight ops manager for NBAA. It may not be what you think. I'm not scheduling and dispatching or anything like that. What I'm really doing is helping operators with any regulatory or operational issue. So I do that through a couple of different facets. One being our operations service group. So myself and one other person, my colleague and friend, Cameron Smith, he's our operations specialist. He helps me with that as well. But pretty much any NBAA member has access to our ops service group. They can call or message us or email us and ask us any operational question. So we get all kinds of things about leasing agreements, interchange agreements, questions about the pilot record database. How do I enter my information into the pilot record database? There's a big update this past year. So when are those deadlines due? Things such as, I'm trying to think of some other things. Our compensation survey, we get a lot of questions about that.
Sure.
Trying to understand the data. What does it mean when the benefits say this and the salary says that? What should I be offering my pilots and pay? Oh, FET. We get a lot of stuff about taxes.
Oh, I bet.
SIFL, personal use. So really just helping them with all their operational issues. And then on the regulatory side, there's a number of different things. As many people know, the SMS NPR notice proposed rulemaking came out early last year. And so from NBAA standpoint, our operations team wants to put comments on the SMS NPRM so that we represent the industry and that the FAA can see, okay, these things in the NPRM aren't going to work for what is actually happening in the industry. Because a lot of that, which I find really exciting, kind of where the domestic ops committee comes into play. So I'm our staff liaison for the domestic ops committee. We have a couple different subcommittees of the DOC, one of them being our 135 subcommittee. And so that group was very hands-on with the SMS NPRM because they're all 135 operators. This is going to affect them once it gets published.
Yeah.
So we all read through it. We created comments. We worked together to release those comments and put them on the SMS NPRM. And then that goes to the FAA and then they review it and then they come out with a regulation. So that's kind of the regulatory aspect. I might go a little bit more about what I do as domestic ops committee. Other than the 135 subcommittee, we have a 125 subcommittee, have a small flight department subcommittee. We have an airspace and flight technology subcommittee. 125 really works on things as they come up. There's only 50 or so 125 operators in the whole US. So there's not always a bunch of issues that needs immediate attention, but when they do, we're there and we have a group of people ready to take action.
Can you define for us? I think 135 is very obvious. We all know what that is. But what about 125? Because if there's only 50, we probably don't deal with that very often.
Definitely. So Part 125 operator is, I want to tell you the exact weight.
Yeah. I think we have one that we work with, but I don't recall the exact weight.
Yeah. So Part 125 is pretty much a larger 135.
Like a BBJ.
Yes, exactly. So if you think of your BBJs and your Airbus aircraft, but they're operating as a charter. So you think of sports teams like the Broncos, the New England Patriots, they're operating those as 125. I don't know the exact weight, but it's the larger aircraft, but operating as a charter.
Got it. Cool.
So that was really cool because it's unique. It's cool to hear stories about people who fly with the New England Patriots and things like that.
Sure.
And then the other group, our small flight department subcommittee, they're extremely active. I know before we jumped on the call, you were saying you were able to stop at the small operator symposium at base.
Yes, it was wonderful.
That's a great program and a great thing that they have going. They work on a bunch of different initiatives. A lot of it is to bring the small flight department community together. A lot of 91 operators need that support, especially when they're small. You know, if you have one aircraft, 2 pilots, and a maintenance tech, or an A&P mechanic. That's it. How do you manage that? What does it look like? Who's getting your LOAs? Who's scheduling the crew? Who's working on the leasing agreements? So you have 2 pilots, and really that one pilot is managing this large operation. So how do we help them with resources? How do they learn about new things and different things that maybe they've worked in that small flight department their entire life. So we have our small operator learning series that they put on. So
pretty much a great one too. Yes.
It's an awesome series on our website. If you go to NBAA's Domestic Operations Committee, you can find this resource there.
I'll put it on the notes on the bottom. For those of you listening, I'll put it on the bottom. You have to be a member, I believe, to get to all of that, but I'll put the link on there and then you just have to log in and get to it. They really do work hard. You guys work hard.
it's one thing that we're trying to get more people to see because it's a great resource. We talk about how to create a budget within a small flight department.
Yes.
What are like the leadership aspects of it? How do you manage such a small group in such a small area with all these safety implications? What does an SMS look like for a small 91? Is it just a book on a shelf or is it a day-to-day? How do you build a culture within 3 people? So a lot of different unique aspects of a small flight department.
Yeah.
And then the Aerospace and Flight Technologies group is kind of a group that my coworker Heidi Williams helps me with. And she and that group are kind of the experts on all thing operations and all things airspace.
Okay.
So they work on like issues with circling approaches and different things like that. Honestly, it's so technical. It's very far above my head, but that's why I'm not helping out there.
Awesome. Yeah.
He's, of course, an airspace expert, but they're a great group and they kind of take on things as they come up, as there's an issue with an approach or as there's an issue in the airspace, they kind of will tackle those initiatives, whether it's regulatory or there just needs to be a guide built to help the industry understand what's happening.
Okay. So a few of you guys are with NBAA, so there are some paid positions in this, but how many volunteers do you think you have for the Domestic Operations Committee?
We're a larger one. I would say typically on the average committee, it's about 40 to 50. Since we have 4 subcommittees and each subcommittee is very active, we have about 75, 80 people on it, anywhere from 15 to 25 people per subcommittee. But it's a strong group of people and it's people who are there really willing to give their time. And they know not only is this going to help me, but it's going to help the next group. It's going to keep my airspace safer. It's going to make my operation better, but also everyone else.
Yeah. And like I said, I worked with the Small Operators Committee a few years ago, and I'll tell you the amount of work that everybody puts in is it's outstanding. And what they produce is also outstanding. When I went to the symposium, I want to say that was the 3rd one or maybe the 4th one that you guys have done. And even between the one that I participated in and then this past one, it was spectacular. You could see the change in the growth there and more people. And then it was really cool because you gave back. There was a class on runway excursions, I believe, that was given to everybody. So everybody could take an additional class. It was really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, we worked hard on that one. I know that runway excursion is such a big topic. So we wanted to, and there's so much that has been touched on with runway excursions. So we really tried to touch something that will be really beneficial, but at the same time isn't just repeating itself. So that's why we kind of went with the stabilizing your approach into it. And all of that is also on the Small Operator Learning Series. We recorded the Small Operator Symposium and just put it online. So that's up there as well.
That's very cool. Well, I encourage anybody who's listening, even if you're not, it's certainly not just for pilots. I don't fly, and I really found it very interesting. It's usually the day before the NBAA main event, and I think it's October usually, and it's usually the day before that starts. And you don't charge for it, right?
Nope, we don't. If you're going to base in October, you just come a day early, and we don't charge for it. So you just come to the room and learn about things that can benefit your small operators.
That's so cool. So cool. Well, great. So then that is one of the big pieces of your job. The other piece you do a lot with is the YoPro committee. And that has really gotten a lot of, notoriety. A lot of people know about it. Tell us more about what it is and maybe even why you like that piece.
Yeah, it's definitely YoPro. It is a great group. It's definitely very passionate about it. And I think everyone on the YoPro Council is passionate about it. But I think there can be confusion with people who are new to YoPro and kind of understanding it. YoPro is and what the YoPro Council is. But YoPro is just a collective name for young professionals in the industry. That's all it is. We just want to be able to identify those who are young professionals who are working to grow in their career. And so Sierra Grimes and Brian Kester, who's my boss, I believe it was 2016, created this group, the YoPro Council. And it was pretty much just a group, 25 people max, that would come together and try to create initiatives and engage young professionals in the industry. At the time, there weren't many young professionals, and they were trying to build a community that they could flourish and connect with each other.
Yeah.
Since then, it has evolved into so many things. The council itself is still 25 people, but we do have other ways it's more like, I guess you could say, a governance board of all things that NBAA does with YoPro. So those 25 people are from all different aspects of the industry: pilots, dispatchers, FBOs, airports, sales, every different aspect. And we have another group called YoPro Go, which is kind of just a broader YoPro community. And you can sign up for that on our website. It's super simple. We just keep you updated on what's happening YoPro wise, whether it's something NBAA is doing or whether it's the North Texas Business Aviation Association is having a YoPro get together, or the, Colorado Aviation Business Association is having a YoPro get together, or there's this great education session happening in Montana. If anyone's there, you should stop by and check it out, or here's a link to it, things like that. Even like AAAE is having a leadership conference virtual next week. And so we send that out to everyone. Hey, this YoPro opportunity is there. That's a really great opportunity for anyone to sign up. We also do with YoPro Go a quarterly webinar where we just send a link out to all the YoPro goers, invite them to join, and we have different guest speakers come. We've had Jenny Showalter
nice.
Talk about career development. We've had motivational speakers come and talk about overcoming adversity. We've had operational experts come and talk about leading in an operational setting in aviation. There's a lot of cool things that YoPro Go offers. And then the YoPro Council just kind of governs that and oversees that, but then also all the events we do. Every single one of our NBAA conferences will have a YoPro focus session. But YoPro has kind of evolved, like I was saying. We've kind of gone from building this community of YoPros to taking that community and connecting them with the industry. So that's kind of our goal, is to create an environment for YoPros to flourish together and with veterans and everyone else in the industry. So we do like networking events that are hosted by YoPros, trying to get everyone in the industry to come together and network and connect with the lower level employee who maybe never have the opportunity to connect with that VP.
So the VPs, it'd be like, especially if maybe somebody that was maybe trying to hire or look for new talent could join one of these networking events, perhaps, and meet some people that would fit perfectly with their organization.
100%. I think that's kind of a big goal that we want to see happen.
Yeah.
But then also I think we're kind of really starting to see that happen as of last year. Like at our NBAA base YoPro networking reception, we had over 250 people. I was talking to CEOs and executives that came to just see the passion that the YoPros brought and see like the excitement that they brought to the industry. So it was really, really cool for me to be able to see that and see all this hard work that the council's put together to kind of come to fruition and be able to connect YoPros with everyone else.
That's super cool. I went to that session, and you're right. You guys had a huge turnout. It was wonderful. And I think the word is getting out, because I think sometimes perhaps us in the older section, we're looking at YoPros. We're like, well, we don't belong there. That's not what we're supposed to do. But if we can get across that idea of we're trying to get everybody to talk to each other, and for us to be able to meet some people that would be perhaps, like I said, perfect for our organization, that's the place to do it.
Definitely. Yeah. Because for a while it was YoPro Reception. So we wanted to rebrand it so that people don't feel that, because we want everyone there. We don't just want YoPros. And now it's all rebranded, hosted by YoPro or hosted by the Young Professionals Council. We want everyone there. We want to connect. We want to network with not just each other.
Very cool. Very cool. So how about what do you have in your future coming up? Do you have anything that you are interested in pursuing, or a goal that's out there?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a few things coming up within YoPro and NBAA that I'm excited about. But I do also have my own goals that I'll share as well. Every year in the summer, the YoPro Council has done a YoPro DC fly-in, where the council comes to DC and we go on the Hill and we show senators, congressmen, and women that young professionals in aviation care and are here to advocate for it. So we go on the Hill and we have set up meetings with them. We set up meetings and we talk about aviation. It was really big this past year because of FAA reauthorization. So we got about 30 of us out there going on the Hill and talking to regulators and legislators to tell them, hey, these are the issues that we care about and these are the things that need to change. And I think that's really inspiring to a lot of them, because they're seeing young people passionate, caring about the industry that they're working in.
Yeah.
But what I'm excited for this year is we're opening that up to any YoPro, not just the YoPro Council. So in February, we're going to open up an application where young professionals can apply to come to this YoPro DC fly-in and talk with different congressmen and women along with NBAA and the YoPro Council. So I'm excited about that. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for those who don't know much about YoPro, who want to get involved, but also those who are passionate about a very specific thing in aviation that they want to, get their word out. So that'll be a really cool opportunity.
That's great. Yeah, no, please let us know when that's ready to go, and we'll send it out to our people, anybody that we know as well, because that does sound like that's a wonderful initiative.
Yeah, I believe February 5th is when the application will open, and it'll be open for about 2 weeks. And we're kind of it'll open in conjunction with our leadership conference. We'll, have all the application announcements and stuff there as well.
That is so cool. Okay, we'll definitely pop that up on our website and send that out to people if we get that link. And so the leadership conference, will you have a presence there at the leadership conference?
Yeah, we will. So for the first time, we'll have one of our own YoPros on one of the panels there. So that'll be really cool. If you've been to a leadership conference, it's all in one room. So there's pretty much keynote after keynote because they're all just great killer speakers, just crushing it up all part. And then this year we'll have one of our own YoPros on one of the panels. And then also we'll have a networking reception hosted by YoPro. I believe it's that Tuesday afternoon. And it'll be actually, I can tell you right now.
Great. We'll pop it on the website.
Yeah, it'll be Tuesday, February 6th, 4:45 to 6 p.m. at Pins and Pints. So it's even in the same hotel as the leadership conference. So you don't have to go anywhere. Stop by, grab a drink, and say hi to friends and network and get to know some YoPros. So I'm excited about that. We will have a pretty good presence there as well.
That is so cool. And again, is this one of those where it's a networking, you're trying to encourage networking from all across? It's not just the young. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I will definitely see you there because I'm headed over there this time.
Awesome.
This year. Excellent. All right. That sounds like a great goal. It's like coming to fruition already.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I think my other goal is finish my insurance rating. It's a big one.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're DC based now?
Correct.
Okay. So is it harder to get the flying in? A little bit not so great weather, or how do you find that?
I would say mostly just traffic. Getting to an airport
sure.
is challenging. Every airport's, depending on where you live, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour plus away.
Yeah.
Whether it's any of the small airports that offer training. So that can be a real challenge to just try and drive out there.
I used to live in Herndon and I worked out of Dulles. So I wanted to live in Herndon because I was close enough when the traffic wasn't crazy. But yeah, that traffic is killer out there.
Oh yeah, I'm in McLean. So I have a distance to get into DC. I'm like today coming into the office. But luckily the metro is really fast. So I love avoiding traffic by taking the metro.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I have a question back to the YoPro thing. Is there any initiative or ideas? I was talking about this with a couple of friends of mine, and I know we're trying to get the young people into aviation. And I think a lot of times we seem to start at the colleges, at the aviation colleges, and that's how we're bringing them in. But we would like to go even younger, like into the high schools and get them interested in aviation. And I do some of that with my local high school here because there's the kids here really have zero exposure to business aviation. We're in a very small community. Anyway, has there been any interest or talk about perhaps getting student tickets to some of these conferences, something that might be a little less expensive? So especially like for me, the S&D conference is a big one, but it's not inexpensive. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot on this one. So, but
no, I mean, I can answer it a little bit. I don't completely work. Really, the big workforce thing I do is YoPro, and then I dabble in a few other things. But the biggest one is base. We do Thursday, all students get in for free.
Okay, cool.
So we encourage them to all come to base. We do an entire called Collegiate Connect, but there's also high schools that attend as well. So it's really just for all students. We had an awesome panel this past year, but then they get to go check out the show floor, do some networking, go to the aircraft static display out at the airport. So we do for base. I don't know if they've ever tried to do it at any of the other conferences. That's not really my So they don't work on the exhibits or planning team, but it's definitely a unique idea. And I think we do it at base, and I think it could happen.
Might work. Okay. Well, I might reach out to one of the S&D groups because, of course, that's my main focus and stuff. And yeah, I just see some high school students, even the ones I work with here, it still would be cost prohibitive to bring them. But over the time that I've done these podcasts, I can't tell you how many people have said, I've gone to base or I've gone to S&D or the maintenance conference, and it like opened my eyes to understand that this is a huge industry and totally fun to work in.
Yeah, it is definitely. I think there have been one-off situations where they bring like a group of students by for the day, like a committee or something does. So yeah, that does happen, but there's nothing set in place. And I think another cool thing, like you were saying, like just having them understand like the impact that the industry has and how large it is. It's important to just talk to them, I think, because talking to a student and not just telling them about aviation, but business aviation in particular, is massive. I know on our website I believe it's just nba.org/students, but we have a bunch of resources for students. Also, myself and one of my colleagues created a student PowerPoint that anyone can download and pretty much just go teach students about aviation. And there's very basic things in it. You can edit it to change to like add your information, some other things. But the whole idea is that we're arming NBAA members with the tools to go talk to students, because
spectacular.
Some people may not know, and some people may have been working in the industry for so long they don't know what students want to hear about. So we have stuff like data from our compensation survey. What do pilots make? What do schedulers make? Things like that. We have links to our different networking events, links to YoPro, links to scholarships, different stuff like that. So I think that's a really cool resource that people should utilize to just go talk to students with. I think if you're ever back in your hometown or your alma mater and you want to talk to students about what you do, it's a great opportunity. The YoPro Council last year, after our DC fly-in, the next day we all went to Cardozo School in DC, and that's what we did. We gave them that. We went through that PowerPoint and then broke up into groups and talked about aircraft sales, being a pilot, being FBO, airports, interior design, marketing, whatever it was. So I think
so cool.
More people did that, I think it'd have a huge impact. Just taking it upon yourself to find something to go talk to students about.
Yeah. Oh, so great. I did not realize you guys had that, but I will definitely look at it and bring it to the next session. I speak with them again in about 2 weeks.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. It's so fun. They really do get excited.
It is. I love talking to them because they ask the best questions.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They sure do. Yeah, they sure do. Well, Noah, do you have any, and again, like I said, you're young, so you've done a lot in your career so far, but what suggestion might you have for a high schooler or college student coming into this industry?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say explore. Find the right fit for you. I know that, especially when we're talking to collegiate students, a lot of them are like, all they know is airlines, because that's a lot of what the colleges to the students. There's a lot of programs set up for them to go straight to the airline. So that's all they know. I think exploring and finding the best fit for you is the biggest advice I can give, but don't settle for money. I think what I did as a student in college, like all I really thought about was, okay, I want to make this salary. I want to make this salary when I graduate. And then, I went out and I started exploring different jobs because I couldn't get the job I wanted right away. And I learned that it's not necessarily about the salary, but it's about the culture I work in. It's about the people I work with. It's about the industry I'm in. It's about the things, is the goals of the company I work for, do they align with what I believe in? So I think that's kind of my biggest thing to give to students is really, really look into yourself and look into who you're working for, and don't settle, and figure out if that's a good fit for you.
Yeah. Wonderful advice. Awesome. Okay. If somebody wanted to talk to you more about any of the organizations and groups that you work with, how would they find you?
Yeah, I would say best way to find me is LinkedIn. So it's Noah Yarborough. I can spell my last name for you.
Sure.
YARBOROUGH. And I think if you just go, I think I have a whole like LinkedIn little link set up. So I think it's linkedin.com/Noah Yarborough-MBA.
Oh, yep. That is correct. I could see it right there. Yep.
Perfect. So if you do that, I should be able to come up, but look up my name. Feel free to reach out. I'm always happy. If you're a student and you're listening, I would always happy to connect you with a pilot or whoever, or to teach you more about the business aviation world. have questions about anything, I'm always happy to.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for all you do, Noah. It really making an impact in the industry.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot. It's good to hear that. And I'm glad that it's always awesome to see our members and students, really benefit from those things that we're working on. So thank you.
Definitely. Well, thanks again, Noah, for your time. And I hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, I'll talk to your leadership. Thanks, Lindsay.
Sounds good. See you there. Thank you for listening. Please stay tuned for more episodes and check out our website for up-and-coming podcasts. This has been a production of the Business Aviation Collective, sponsored by LD Aviation.